So, once upon a time, there was a game called Io Oni, which was made in an old-ass game engine called RPG Maker. The first version of the game was released sometime in November 2008 in Japanese, but the version you're most likely familiar with is version 6.23, released by a developer named No Props, which has the English and Italian translations. For those who are not familiar with Io Oni, the synopsis of this game is basically this. Four students named Mika, Takuro, Takeshi, and Hiroshi heard rumors about a monster living in a remote mansion somewhere on the outskirts of their town. So the four of them headed to the mansion to see if the rumors were true. 3 out of the 4 students then start to get a dread of uneasiness and start to think of a way to get out of the mansion. But Hiroshi, for whatever reason, suddenly grew some balls and decided to venture further into the mansion, only to realize this was a stupid idea. So he went back to his friends, except they're not there, and now he's worried, and so he starts to search for his friends and a way out of the mansion, all whilst being chased down by the Io Oni, open parentheses, blue demon, close parentheses, and solving numerous of puzzles hidden within the mansion. And I really mean numerous of puzzles. Now, obviously, this is a very brief explanation of Io Oni, and hopefully this is enough information about the game, because this video isn't really gonna delve into the Io Oni mainline games. Yeah, apparently this whole freaking series has sequels and spin-offs tied into this little franchise, which I was kind of surprised by. And the most interesting part is that most of them, if not all of them, are on mobile. So yes, you can play the scary Blueberry Demon game on your toilet right now if you wish to. Even the first game's on mobile. There's even films and TV series based off this franchise as well, and a couple of notable references of it in other games such as Yumaniki, where you get to play like a mini game that kind of resembles the mansion. It's a nice homage. Speaking about the spin-offs, did you know that both of them are mobile games as well? They're also MMO games, so that means that these games have multiplayer in them. Sadly, only one of them is available internationally, and it doesn't seem to have an active player base, judging by the reviews on the Play Store, which is a damn shame. And they also appear to be one of those fake multiplayer.io games, you know, the ones that are just filled with bots that pretend to be players. And the other one is basically region locked, unless you got a VPN. This video is sponsored by NordVPN. Kinda depressing, I know, but it was an attempt on something new, and, you know, things just don't work out. But as much as I want to talk about the mainline games, I actually want to focus more on the actual topic of the video, the fan game side of the franchise. Now, Io Oni being a game developed in the RPG Maker and being played by big Let's Players like PewDiePie and Markiplier, it's not really that much of a surprise to see a game like that to have like a ton of fan creation based around it. But what is a surprise is to see that there are still fan games being made after this game sort of went under the radar after so many years. So I kind of wanted to see the difference between the old Io Oni fan games from the past and see how they hold up to this day and how the new ones differentiate from them. So I have 4 Io Oni fan games selected, 2 that are old and 2 that are new, and I'm kind of play both of them right now because I haven't played them at the time that I'm recording. My assumption is that they might be very similar, but the production quality is going to be the real difference between these 2 or these 4 games, really. Yeah, that's my prediction. Yeah, that's my scientific hypothesis. Let's just get into the fucking first. Kamege Oni is an episodic fan game that was released around September to December of 2012. The fan game is set up as a continuation of version 5.2 of the original Io Oni game, taking place after a month of the game's good ending, where Hiroshi and his friends all escape the mansion together. Episode 1 starts us off with Hiroshi, Takeshi, and Mika on the last day of school before summer vacation. The trio then start to wonder why Takuro didn't show up to school, so they all headed to his house. While heading to the house, there's this strange hooded guy talking about releasing a creature and trapping it on an island. Definitely not plot related. Anyways, Hiroshi and his friends arrive at Takuro's house and they find out the reason why he didn't show up to school. Apparently, Takuro was reading the news lately and heard that the locals around the town have seen a blue monster near a forest. The trio are shocked by the news and are now believing that they're being followed by the blue monster from the mansion. Not only that, but Hiroshi's father, yes, Hiroshi has a dad, is planning on going to the mansion where Hiroshi and his friends went to a month prior. So Hiroshi and his friends go meet his father, but Hiroshi's communication skills just aren't the best today and he just straight up says nothing to his father. No, Dad, please don't go there or anything like that. Just straight up stoic stare and silence. Then a flashback scene happens and we get to play as some guy walking home at night, only then to be killed by an Oni. Conveniently, at the worst possible moment, Mika forgot something at school and she has to get it back, even though this is like the last day of school and it's most likely closed. And guess what? It is closed. Anyways, I got stuck here for a bit until I started checking the bushes where Mika suddenly opens a door bush. So the gang goes inside the school where we get a glimpse of not just one Oni, but 3 Onis. Afterwards, a scripted chase sequence commences and the game finally begins. So that was basically the introduction of the game. Now let's talk about the gameplay. Gameplay wise, this game is identical to the original Io Oni, which isn't really a bad thing. But what I like about this fan game is that unlike in the original Io Oni, specifically version 6.23, this game is a lot more story driven and has a lot more character interactions. Also, the idea of being chased down by multiple Onis is pretty interesting and quite challenging. And as for puzzles, they're as cryptid as always. For an example, the first puzzle is opening the outdoors. However, you will need a key and a passcode to open it. A bit redundant in my opinion, but whatever. Anyways, the clue to this puzzle is this note, which has the number 9567 times 9, which you would think you would have to multiply these numbers to get the code. Except, no, you're wrong, that's stupid, that makes too much sense, fuck you. What you're actually supposed to do is flip the first 2 digits and the last one, which will give you this number. Then you get the actual code to the outdoors, and then you can actually progress into the game. I cannot express how long I was stuck in this part of the game. But at the very least, the game doesn't do these types of puzzles too often, and the puzzles later on in the game aren't as cryptid as this first one. Now, earlier before, I was talking about how this game is a lot more story driven, and by God, is this game's story weird. Now, at the beginning of this game, at first, the story seemed to focus on going to the mansion to save Hiroshi's father. However, the story seems to take a turn on focusing on Hiroshi and his friends being chased down by the Oni from the first game. The game delves into how the characters handle the idea of being haunted by not just one but multiple Onis, and it's actually really refreshing to see these characters, especially Hiroshi, act like an actual person at times. You see, in version 6.23, Hiroshi was sort of this stoic brainiac type of character. He never really had a notable moment or commentary that really interests the player at all. Like, whenever his friends die, he has nothing to say. Like come on, man, like, your friend's lifeless corpse is there and you have nothing to say? What are you, an asshole? What the fuck did they do to you? Jesus! Even in times when he does commentate on something, it's usually the most boring and straightforward thing to say. In Kamagani Oni, however, Hiroshi's shown to be more of a caring person, you know, he's shown to talk with his fucking friends, he seems to commentate more. I mean, it's still boring, but at least it has a little pizzazz into it, you know. Has this game aged a bit? Yes, it's quite buggy, especially with the early episodes, but overall I think it's pretty alright. You can still play it to this day and still enjoy it. Though, I don't know, there might be better options though. Not to say it's not bad, I think it's quite fun actually. But yeah, I'm just gonna go on to the next game. Kuro Oni is a 3D game designed by Brand Molders, a developer from the Netherlands, and was published on the website called I Don't Care Games, or IDC Games for short. This game was made in the Unity engine, a very old version of the Unity engine, a version that dates back to 2012, which was over 10 years ago, which is, no biggie, 10 years ago, whatever. It's not that long ago, It doesn't make me feel old at all, It's not like the idea of this unstoppable force known as time is slowly destroying everything that you and I ever cared about, and there's nothing we can do about it. It doesn't make me feel that what I'm doing right now will not matter in the next 100 years. It doesn't make me feel insignificant in the grand scheme of things, Anyways, Kura Oni is very different from my Oni, as you can see. Kura Oni is black demon, and this game takes a role of a three-dimensional plane, so you can explore the wonders of walking forwards and backwards. This is commonly referred to as width in these genres. So you start off into the game inside of a mansion, or at the very least I assume it's a mansion. And there are a series of doors and rooms and puzzles for you to solve, now in 3D. So pretty much like Io Oni, except you're by yourself and you can't really hide from the Oni in this game, and it's in 3D. The puzzle in this game aren't the most difficult thing in the world until you reach the basement. I literally have no idea what you have to do or where you have to go, so I didn't really complete this. So instead of actually beating the game, I did the easy solution, just looked at a walkthrough and just see what the ending was. And believe it or not, this game has a plot. And the plot of this game is very much the same as Io Oni. In this game, you take a role of a scientist looking to disprove the legend that a monster lives in the mansion, only to find that the legend is true, and you will have to escape the mansion from this monster while solving a series of puzzles, blah blah blah. Like I said, it's basically Io Oni. So there's a couple things I want to talk about this game. So first, I really like the approach of a first-person perspective adaptation of Io Oni, but in execution it doesn't really play out as I expected. Most of the time, the game's mansion feels a bit samey, and sometimes the path layouts feels like I'm wandering through a maze. The times when you meet the Kura Oni are mostly in scripted events, much like Io Oni. But I feel that in Kura Oni, having these scripted chase scene events makes the game a lot more boring, since it takes a 3D perspective. And let me tell you, it's not fun walking around in a low poly square in a 3D game trying to retrace your steps to solve some puzzles. The times when you meet the Kura Oni are mostly in scripted events, much like Io Oni. But I feel that in Kura Oni, having these scripted chase scene events makes the game a lot more boring, since it takes a 3D perspective. And let me tell you, it's not fun walking around in a low poly square in a 3D game trying to retrace your steps to solve some puzzles. I feel that if the Oni chase sequence were a lot more randomized and, a lot more sporadic, I feel like this would have spiced up the gameplay a little bit more. But then again, I'm not much of a programmer, so I'm not sure how easy it is to implement something like that. And not only that, but I feel like if this game decided to go for a more lost footage type-esque game, kind of like a Blair Witch Project or something like Outlast, this can open a whole new door of like creativity and style and storytelling that this game kind of really lacks of. I mean, it's pretty interesting to be in the shoes of a scientist. Not a lot of games have scientists as their protagonists. The only thing that comes to mind is Half-Life. That's why I think a lost footage style would benefit a lot more for like the Io Oni genre. I mean, hell, kids going to a spooky mansion with creatures, I mean, think about it, it wouldn't be out of the realm for like kids to bring a camera and like, ooh, now they gotta survive from this guy, ooh, and they can use their cameras and shit. Fuck, I'll play the shit out of it. It's a cool attempt at a 3D adaptation of Io Oni, but poor execution. And that's all I have to really say. It's just Io Oni, but in 3D. Our next game on the line is called Io Oni Rewritten, made by a developer named Nardbra. Like the title of this game says, this is Io Oni but retold in a different way. It still follows our familiar set of main characters exploring a creepy mansion with a monster in it. However, we have a new set of 3 characters named Anna, Shun, and Cheetos. Once you open the game starts off very similar to the original story, except it has an opening cutscene of our students entering the mansion with a much more expensive and detailed backstory. Afterwards, the game continues on, much as the same with the exception of the newly added characters and the dialogue that comes along with them. So, about these newly added characters, these characters originated from a light novel called Io-Oni, open parentheses, light novel, close parentheses, written by an author named Kenji Kodora, with his first volume being released in Japan on 25th of February 2013, which was, almost 9 years ago. Kodora has also written many light novels for other franchises such as Ace Attorney and Ace Attorney again, and he only worked on Ace Attorney. And just to go a little bit of off topic here, I wanted to discuss about the light novel's plot, and the plot is basically that Shun, who is this guy, is the new kid at this middle school, and that makes him a perfect target for Takuro to bully at, because Takuro is a dick. And Takuro and these other characters that you should know by now, I'm not gonna say their names, go to the spooky mansion that has the blueberry demon inside, alongside with our other two new characters, Anna and Cheeto's guy. And they go inside the mansion, and then oh no, it gets stuck and they have to solve puzzles and shit. You get the fucking point. It's Io-Oni. I'm not The reason I bring up this light novel's plot is that this game sort of mimics the exact plot points like the novel did, and I thought it would be nice to share it in this video. So what's new in this Io-Oni retold gamey game that makes it different from the other Io-Oni games that I played so far in this video? Well,
1.
New sprites. When characters are speaking, they got newly added sprites.
2.
Story is paced much better from the original Io-Oni game. In my opinion, I don't know, I feel like it's just better paced.
3.
There's attention to detail in this game. For an example, when you hide in a closet, there's an overlay of some closet doors that adds immersion to the game. New puzzles, kind of. And some old ones too, like the piano one. My favorite. I hate the piano puzzle.
5.
Classic Io-Oni chase scenes with that glorious chase.
6.
Did I mention new characters? The UI, it's a little bit improved. It's kind of the same though, but it feels, I don't know how to say that, but it feels slicker. It feels optimized. And that's pretty much it. Other than that, that's all I have to say about this game, because I couldn't solve the piano puzzle and finish the demo because I'm built different. But judging by a comment made by a user named Big Bang P, I'm assuming the ending was pretty good. So yeah, let's just get on to the next game. The last game that I would be talking about is called Scary Oni, published on GameJolt by a developer named Jenna Artois. Alright, so this game is about this zombie gremlin lady thing who escaped a prison called the Mega Extra Man Elimination, spelled with 2 L's, prison. They escaped through the sewer systems and managed to find a mansion that they immediately want to steal stuff from there after, escaping the Mega Extra Man Elimination prison. And that's pretty much the plot. Well, without the spoilers, I guess. But so this is X, our main character. Or at least that's what they call themselves while talking to a cabinet. Now, X is by far the best protagonist out of all these fan games that I ever played. X is such a goofy character. Like when things just don't go their ways, they just throw a temper tantrum like a child. X is such like a lively and expressive character, and I really can't express how much fun it is reading their cleverly written narration. Not only that, but the game itself doesn't really take itself too seriously most of the time, and it's pretty self-aware about it. It knows that it's goofy, and it thrives on that. And sure, other Io-Oni games had their silly moments, for example, Kura-Oni. Sometimes the silly moments in those games are either poorly timed or just feel out of place, especially since in the beginning of Kura-Oni, it was just sort of portraying itself to be a much more serious fan game that, kind of continues on with the original Io-Oni. But Scary Oni, it's all about humor, and it does pretty well at it. The game has some scripted scene events that occur once you progress enough in the story, and it feels like the effort and time that you're putting into the game is actually being rewarded when you progress in its story. The first interactions with Yoni are simply put wonderful, and having the ability to actually run away from the Oni by pressing shift is just a great addition to the game. It makes dying more of your fault rather than the game purposefully handicapping you by making you slow as fuck. But hey, you know, being able to run away doesn't really stop you from dying if you suck ass like me. The game has its own soundtrack, and it's got some pretty good tracks that fits the theme when they're being played, and I think they're pretty great. I think you should listen to it. I could go on and on about this fan game, but I would much rather have you play it than me talk about it, because getting secondhand experience from me playing it will never beat the true feeling of you playing it, if you get what I'm saying. I just want you to play this game, okay? I don't want to spoil the fun. Just go download it. It's fucking free. I know I kind of skimmed through most of these fan games in a matter of minutes throughout this video, but I did that on purpose because I hope these fan games pique someone's interest just enough for them to try it out themselves rather than me having to explain it to them. It was kind of interesting and experience to see how these fan games from the past and from the future kind of evolved. And it's like, I don't know, I could have got more in depth with this topic, but I really did not want to like have this video go on for 10 more years, because God knows I can't work on shit that exceeds like 15 minutes. This is unscripted, by the way, so I'm kind of rambling out of my ass, but yeah, this is pretty much the end of the video. Clown video coming soon, I promise. Clown core for boner. Play Scary Oni. You should do that, and subscribe to my channel. I upload very, very rarely, so I won't spam your inbox with a lot of videos, so trust me on that. You should ring the bell as well. Leave a comment telling me, I don't know, tell me something. Tell me how your day was, what you had for dinner. I don't fucking care. I'm just gonna call it quits for now, because this is just dumb. Alright, enjoy your day. See ya.